chapter, we're going to be studying the limits to measurement. In this lesson, we're just going to look at adding and subtracting fractions.
Okay, everybody. In this lesson, we're going to kind of back up a little bit to math you would have done a long time ago. We're just talking about adding and subtracting fractions because that is going to play a bit of a role in the work that we're going to do in the next upcoming lessons here. So remember that when you do this, you have to find common denominators, okay? And that when you get common denominators, then you're simply going to add or subtract the numerators. So basically what the denominator does is the denominator is the type of fraction you're adding. I can add halves to halves, but I can't easily add halves to fifths. Okay, I can add fifths to fifths, but I can't add fifths to eighths. Okay, it's the type of fraction is determined by the denominator, and I have to add the same types of fractions. The numerator tells you how much of each that you've got there. Okay, so that's what we got to do. Now, if it's an improper fraction that you're looking at, I would suggest the first thing if you start with a mixed fraction, my mistake. If you start with a mixed fraction, I think it's better to turn that into an improper fraction first. It just makes the arithmetic a little bit easier to do when you're working with it in that form. It might add a little bit of a step there, but I think it's more straightforward. Anyway, let's take a look at some examples so you see what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples here. So we're going to add a half and an eighth. Okay, so I've got 1/2 and I've got 1/8. So I need to make the denominators the same, and I can do that by simply taking that 1/2 and multiplying the numerator and denominator by 4. Okay, so this expression will be equal to 1/2, where I multiply top and bottom by 4, numerator and denominator by 4, and so this will become 4/8 plus 1/8 is 5/8. Okay, that's just how you do it. Okay, but you almost have to say it correctly to make it make sense. 4/8 plus 1/8 is 5/8. All right, now let's take a look at one that's got some mixed fraction in there. First thing I want to do is convert that mixed fraction into an improper fraction. And I think a lot of people seem to be fairly comfortable with this. You're going to take the 2 multiplied by the 4 and then add the 1. So 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So 9/4 plus 1/16. Okay, well, to make the denominators the same, I have to take that 9/4 and I have to multiply numerator and denominator by 4, plus 1/16. And so this is now going to become, what is that? This is going to become 36/4. Oh, sorry, I'm not 36/4. I have to multiply the denominator. Sorry, I didn't actually do that, even though I said I was going to do it. 36/16 plus 1/16. So I'm going to get 37/16. Okay, now I can convert that back into a mixed fraction if we'd like. 37 divided by 16 is going to be 2 with a remainder of 5. So 2 and 5/16. But quite honestly, I prefer the improper fraction. Okay, 3 and 11/16 minus 5/8. Once again, first thing I'm going to do is convert that mixed fraction into an improper fraction. So 3 times 16, 16 is going to be 48, plus 11 is going to be 59/16. Now, I want that 5/8 though to have the same denominator, so I'm going to multiply numerator and denominator there by 2. So then this will become 59/16 minus 10/16. Okay, and so that is going to be 49/16. Well, again, I can convert that into a mixed fraction. 49 divided by 16, okay, is going to be 3 with 1 left over. Okay, you put the remainder as the numerator. The remainder becomes the numerator of the fraction part. Okay, 7/8 minus 3/16. We're back to one that's relatively straightforward. I'm going to multiply numerator and denominator here by 2 to make the denominators the same. So that's going to become 14/16 minus 3/16. And 14 minus 3 is going to be 11/16. And that is a proper fraction, so I'll just leave it like that. It's good to go. Okay, here's another problem with mixed fractions. So the first thing I want to do is convert those mixed fractions into improper fractions. So 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11 halves, plus 3 times 8 is 24, plus 7 is going to be 31 eighths. Okay, so now I'm going to take that 11 halves, I'm going to multiply numerator and denominator by 4, and I'll add 31 eighths. And so this will become 44 eighths plus 31 eighths. Well, that is going to be 75 eighths. Okay, now I can convert that into a mixed fraction. That is going to be 9. Okay, 75 divided by 8 is going to be 9 with a remainder of 3. So 9 and 3/8. And the last one here, once again, I want to convert this to a mixed fraction. So convert the mixed fraction to an improper fraction. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 is going to be 15 quarters minus 1/16. I'm going to multiply numerator and denominator here by 4 to get the same denominator. Well, 15 times 4 is going to be 60 sixteenths minus 1/16. And that's going to end up being 59 sixteenths. So 59 divided by 16, okay, is going to be 3. So we're going to convert this into a mixed fraction here. And when you do that, the remainder, whoops, sorry, I'm just doing it on my calculator over here. Actually, I'll show you what I'm doing on my calculator to make that work. Yeah, that might help here. I'm going to convert 59 sixteenths into a mixed fraction here. So 59 divided by 16. There's the 3 that I'm looking for. But what I want to do is convert this into the remainder. So I'm going to, first of all, subtract 3 off of that. And now I'm going to multiply that by 16. That decimal, what's left, I'm going to multiply that decimal by 16. And there's the 11. So this becomes 3 and 11 sixteenths. That's the answer that I'm looking for.